Hey guys, who wants to be one of the first people to read my new book that I just wrote, Hole in a Box, for free? All I ask is that you give me a critique and peer edit on it, because it just got finished. And if you want to know what it's about, I'll read you this quick synopsis I wrote for it. I can also show you a picture of what the cover supposedly looks like. That's the cover. Or first chapter cover. And every chapter has its own picture, and then it has like an opening picture and an ending picture. So it's got pictures. It's kind of directed towards preteens, but I hope that adults can enjoy it. And teenagers. Okay, here, let me read it. Marla had spent her first 11 years of life in foster cares and orphanages, believing that she'd never have a loving family. One day, Marla discovers another world filled with monstrous creatures that steal her heart with curiosity and adventure. Marla soon finds out that this world might not be as safe as she thought, but runs into another conflict of a kind man who shows interest in adopting her. Marla is now faced with the decision of leaving her world for the monsters or a family, and if she takes too long to decide, the worlds might collide and decisions will be made for her, leaving her with regret. And here I do a thing where I read like the first 2 or so pages of the first chapter. Maybe I'll get carried away and read too much. If it's too long, I'll cut down the video. The video is too long. Chapter 1. Accidents happen. So this is the first picture you're going to see. And at the end of the chapter, you'll see that picture. Okay, sorry. Chapter 1. Accidents happen. It had all been an accident. Those happen. Coincidence. Coincidence that she had just so happened to find that little jewelry box in the boys' closet. She owed her fate encounter to being asked to collect all the orphans' laundry. How strange that not doing such a dreary request would have stopped Marla from completely changing her life. Marla had no idea what lay ahead of this humdrum task. She made her way with a hamper into her second boy's room, room 7. She barely ever went into anyone else's room, especially one of the opposite gender, since it led to consequences, but mainly because no one ever invited her. Nonetheless, she was inside her 7th room to collect laundry, and had to scour every corner of the rooms, knowing that all the other children were lazy and disorganized. It was when Marla had made her way in front of the closet that she found her strange clumsiness had kicked in. Her feet stumbled over each other, exchanging little hellos as they both tipped over onto the floor, bringing their owner along with them, just to fall on her face. Marla let out a sigh, having thrown up some of the laundry held into the air, to only drop upon her after hitting the wood on which she just became acquainted with. Her small, beady eyes found themselves looking up as she propped her chin onto the floor. They examined her surroundings until something tugged at them within the closet. All the other items hadn't caught her interest, even if they were more interesting. But the little tiny joy box concealed in the depths of the closet's left corner. It was just a normal little box that she would normally overlook. But something about this normal thing, amongst all other very similar normal things, had a not-so-normal presence to it that screamed at Marla, begging her to pick it up. She sat up, her t-shirt falling off her head and landing on the floor behind her. Marla then slapped her hands to the floor to slide her knees across it in order to get closer to the little box in the closet. She felt her fingers dance and twirl at sight. She picked it up and examined it. True, finding an old jewelry box in the orphan boy's closet was a bit peculiar, but not completely strange, since this orphanage had been around for a long while, and probably had unspoken history to it. But this box was something mysterious and felt very much alive. The box was made of some sort of dark wood, rosewood, and had an elegant yet very unearthly design carved into it. The box looked in mint condition, almost new, but it smelt of ancient tales and wisdom beyond the ages. Marla wondered what stories this box held, and what it had seen and been present in. It was a book in disguise of a jewelry box. It had stories and an elaborate cover, but just like books, never judged by the cover. Same goes for living beings. Everything on the outside of the box had greatly fascinated Marla and fed her curiosity, giving her more than 1,001 questions. But she knew the thing that made this box so special was what was inside of it, and her questions should be saved until her unsatisfied eyes could see the inside. Marla's little fingers had traced the lid of her discovery until it reached a little black latch, probably locking the box. She studied the imprint on the latch and felt something very familiar come to mind. Marla reached into her jeans pocket and pulled out a strange-shaped emerald that had an uncanny resemblance to a heart. She had always had this little treasure, not quite sure when she first got it, just knowing she's had it since she could remember, and knowing that it was the only thing she actually could say was hers, making her not want to share it with anyone. Marla compared the imprint with the emerald and noticed it was the same shape. With utmost certainty, she placed the emerald into the spot and heard the latch come undone. "This is it!" Marla thought, not entirely certain what that "it" she expected was. Lifting the lid that was heavy with anticipation, Marla saw that there was no bottom in this box. It was like an endless hole. It seemed to be some sort of bottomless pit that might have been a gateway to some mysterious world not like her own here on Terra. Just to be sure that it was really some hole and not just painted to look magical and miraculous, Marla stuck her hand into the box and felt some sort of atmosphere coming from the bottomless pit. There was wind and a strange intense feeling. Fearing that something would pull her in, although she don't know why she'd fear that. Any wood would more likely be better for her than one on Terra, hopefully absent of humans as well. But then, maybe the pit would be endless and she'd be forever falling and die from starvation, or all of her muscles and bones breaking in from being weak. Or in a similar concept, if there was a bottom but a long drop, she'd meet her demise with a splatter as she made great impact with the floor. Marla made sure to pull her hand away after confirming that this was some sort of portal. She had gotten a feeling that there was some other world waiting on the other side of the box, some world that wanted her. It was more than a feeling. It was knowledge. She knew there was. Marla cautiously put her ear near the box, hearing what sounded like some sort of thriving city. The sound was very quiet, but she was quite certain it was really there. Marla turned the box toward her mouth. Her full lips twitched a bit, yearning to say something, until finally her full voice managed to let out, "Hello?" Once more, Marla moved the hole near her ear to listen in. She could hear her own voice echo until it became too quiet to even hear. "You!" said a boy named Johnny as he walked in. He lifted his freckled face in superior manner, bringing his spiky raven hand to the air. He was slightly older than Marla. "It's Marla." A boy named Daniel, who was only 2 or so years younger than her, had come out from behind Johnny, giggling. "Hope she didn't touch any of my stuff. That'd be gross." Marla looked up at the boys and let out a sort of sigh. She closed the beautiful box and placed it into the closet exactly where it had previously been. Saying anything to the boys, truth or lie, would only end up in her getting harassed. If she had taken the box, the boys would have tried to take it from her, claiming it as theirs. Marla picked up the clothes she dropped on the floor and put them into the hamper as she wheeled into the room. She let out another breath and soon headed toward the hallway, knowing she'd gotten all the laundry from it. Before Marla could exit from the door, Daniel, who had climbed halfway up his bunk bed, pulled his shirt over from his small, thin torso and short blonde hair and threw it into her face. The boy laughed and remarked, "You forgot something." The comment got Johnny to burst out cackling too, as he pointed a finger at her. The shirt fell into the hamper, revealing a rather indifferent look on her face. She wasn't frustrated by this, but actually glad that it was all he or Johnny did. Although she did think to herself, it wasn't even that funny. Guess I should be grateful that kids are becoming less original these days. Marla gripped the hamper's handles and pushed it out to continue her tedious chore. So 10 minutes on it. So, let me know if you want to read.